I remember literally in my mind, I was doing research and I was like, dude, I remember this story. I did not know it was related to Matthew Moorby. I just assumed it was like another true crime. And I remember there was this guy, he was a substitute teacher at a some kind of school in Fresno, California, and he had a mental breakdown. And when he had a mental breakdown, he was yelling in class and the students were like, dude, I'm tripping out. They were scared. And so they called the principal. The principal came and talked to the substitute teacher and they took him to the 5150 from what I remember reading. Hi, my witchies. Welcome to the WitchDarkTales podcast where your host, I'm Megan.
I'm Miguel.
And on our podcast, we talk about haunted places, true crimes, urban legends, history, scary stories, and also paranormal videos of Fresno. Now, tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about the unsolved mystery, a little bit true crime of Matthew Moorby. He disappeared on February 6th, and they found him on February 8th, 1996.
Wow.
Yeah, there are so many plot twists in here because, for one, evidence were pointing to the mom's boyfriend. And then also other evidence, well, actually, allegedly, a news reporter named Steven John Diddy claimed that he was the one who murdered Matthew Moorby. But before we get into the podcast, views discretion and audio discretion is advised. Everything we talk about is just pure speculation. We do not claim that these people did it. There are so many signs and so many things that pointed to them, but it was so many plot twists.
So many plot twists.
So views discretion is advised. Strong adult languages, images that might disrupt the viewer. Strong adult language. We're going to be talking about a child drowning in the water. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let's get straight into the podcast of the unsolved mystery of Matthew Moorby. Poor thing. Matthew Moorby was just 2 years old when he vanished from his family's apartment in North Fresno on February 6, 1996. According to family's account, Matthew had been asleep while his mother rested. At some point during the night or early morning's hours, he disappeared without a sound. There were no signs of forced entry, no witnesses, no obvious explanation. Police launched an immediate search. On February 8th, 1996, the search ended in the worst possible way. Matthew's body was found floating in a lake at Woodward Park, near the Japanese Garden, a peaceful area on what many considered the safe side of town. He was still wearing his red flannel pajamas. The image of a toddler alone in the water shocked the community and haunted investigators. An autopsy showed no signs of sexual assault or severe physical trauma. Officially, there were no clear answers about how Matthew ended up there or who put him there. Rumors started spreading, speculation grew, and suspicion turned inward. As with many child's death, investigators initially focused on those closest to Matthew. Family members and close associates were questioned extensively, while no one was formally charged. Detective reported believing the truth might lie within Matthew's inner circle. And then 8 months later, everything changed.
Wow, I never heard of that story before.
No?
No.
I felt like, we're going to talk about a little bit of what's going on and then we'll jump back into the story. Everyone in Fresno knew about the case, but they never really understood it because there was other people involved, like this guy named Steven John Diddy.
Well, I did hear a story, I found a story regarding that. There was an article regarding that, and there were a few speculations. Well, this is what this article said. So Julie Williams called the police the afternoon of February 6th, which was the mother of the kid, to report that her son, blue eyes, rosy cheeks, and red lips, had disappeared from her apartment while she was sleeping and her boyfriend was out taking a walk. She later speculated that Matthew had been kidnapped or sneaked past the front door and was abducted and driven to Woodward Park Lake about 2 miles away. Police and reporters said that her boyfriend, Alan Taylor, 19, who was the father of William's baby son, Cody, averted his eyes when talking about Matthew's dates, and seemed to protest his innocence too much.
So it was raising suspicion, eyebrows.
Suspicious.
Because he was trying to basically, like you said, well, from the article, he was trying to proclaim his innocence. And they were just like, you're trying a little bit too hard, bro. Now, back to that, before we continue on with the story, not blaming the parents. If that guy or the mom's boyfriend went to go for a walk, how did the boy sneak out through the door without being seen? Mind you, where was the boyfriend going in the middle of the night or whatever time it was? and the little boy just sneak out. Doesn't that sound suspicious though?
I mean, the way I was seeing it is probably somebody came and just sneaked him out of the house.
Well, because a lot of things happen at Woodward Park area. I believe a couple weeks ago, someone was found self-harm, but I'm just going to say a lot of people do pass away in that area, either self-harm or they've been in the water and somehow, I'm trying to be careful with what I say. I don't want to disrespect someone passing away in that manner, but that's sad.
I'm very sad.
So who do you think it was before we continue on with the story? Because it did make it seem like the
It
mom's
may
boyfriend.
seem like it was the mom's boyfriend, but we did find other things regarding this story.
So let's get back into the story, you guys.
In October 1996, a man walked in Fresno Police Headquarters and asked to speak to detectives about the death of a child. His name was Steven John Diddy. Diddy was a local radio reporter, someone who had not covered Matthew's disappearance, but had read updates about the case live on air. What stunned everyone was this. Diddy confessed to kidnapping and murdering Matthew Moorby. He was arrested, charged with murder, and held on $1 million bond. Police suggest that Diddy had provided details they believe only the killer will know. Matthew's family was told investigators were confident they had the right man, but almost immediately doubts resurfaced. Steven Diddy didn't fit the public's eyes of a child killer. He was described by colleagues as intelligent, calm, and deeply compassionate. He came from a stable Fresno family, excelled in journalism, and had ambitions of becoming a national news reporter. Those who knew him struggled to believe that confession was real. Some wonder if Diddy, immersed in tragedy, emotionally fragile, and under immense pressure, had confessed to something he didn't do. Others raised a darker theory. Was this man who committed crime in order to insert himself into the story? As the case moved towards the possibility of death penalty, Steven Diddy recanted his confession and claimed it was false. Without physical evidence tying him to Matthew's death, prosecutors faced a problem. In March 1997, all charges against Diddy were dropped due to insufficient evidence. Instead of prison, he was committed to a state mental hospital for treatment, and just like that, the case collapsed. Matthew Moorby's murder was once again unsolved. Nearly 2 decades later, Steven Diddy's name resurfaced. On September 22, 2014, deputies were called to Central West High School in Fresno after reports that a substitute teacher was behaving bizarrely in front of students. The teacher was Steven Diddy. Witnesses described strange comments, unsettling behaviors. School officials removed him from the classroom, and Charis deputy transported him to Community Regional Medical Center on a 48-hour mental health hold. And still today, Matthew Moorby's murder remains officially unsolved. No one has been convicted, no one has been held accountable. A toddler was taken, a family was shattered, and Fresno was left with unanswered questions. Was Steven Diddy telling the truth? If he didn't do it, who did?
As you were reading, I remember literally in my mind, I was doing research and I was like, dude, I remember this story. I did not know it was related to Matthew Moorby. I just assumed it was like another true crime. And I remember there was this guy, he was a substitute teacher at a some kind of school in Fresno, California, and he had a mental breakdown. And when he had a mental breakdown, he was yelling in class and the students were like, dude, I'm tripping out. They were scared. And so they called the principal. The principal came and talked to the substitute teacher, and they took him to the 5150 from what I remember reading, because I did not know that was the same person that you just read. I was trying to say something, but I'm like, no, I don't want to interrupt the story. Again, I thought it was from another story. I did not know it was related to Matthew Moorby.
Wow.
That goes to show there are so many true crimes that happen in Fresno, California. Whether you do research or not, you would never think that it was going to be connected some way, somehow.
Not only that, it's like old stuff that happened back then. Yes, automatically just come up now.
Randomly. And then it resurfaced. That makes me think, if there are other true crimes that we've talked about before, what if there are other little details that were never brought up that was related to other true crimes?
A lot of things happen like that too.
Drop down a comment and let us know. If you're from Fresno, listen to this.
It's a crazy story.
So what did you think about the whole situation with a plot twist, by the way?
In some way, I want to say that maybe he actually did it, and he's the reason why the child disappeared.
Wait, who? Oh, Steven John Diddy?
Steven John Diddy, sorry. But at the same time, it's like he's probably just trying to make himself look good and just trying to include himself in the story.
Because, from what you read was there are claims that said he was doing a documentary or he was telling the story because he's a news reporter on the I forgot, but I put the KMPH, and he was probably wanted to be part of the history. He was sitting there telling the story, and then he realized, like, hey, I can be a part of this. Allegedly, what is crazy is because he recanted later and said he didn't do it.
It's kind of dumb to confess something like that when you know it's gonna have huge consequences. Yeah.
Or the person working on the case said that how did he know about the descriptions and certain things that nobody else knew? Was he doing most of the case and he had more information? And so he used that to his ability and said, well, since I know about this, let me include myself into the story and say, I know this, I knew this, I knew this.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
It's a mystery still.
Still a mystery to this day. And it's been 30 years. This was 30 years ago, the case of Matthew Moorby. So if you're from Fresno, drop down a comment and let us know, have you ever heard of this Fresno Unsolved mystery of Matthew Moorby that happened on February 6th? Well, he disappeared in February 6th, but they finally found him on February 8th, 1996. Drop down a comment and let us know. If you're from Fresno, listen to this.
If you're from Fresno.
Before we end the podcast of the Unsolved Mystery of Matthew Moorby, what did you think about it? Who do you think did it? And also, what makes it so a mystery still?
Well, I just think it's very interesting. You know, stuff that from years ago, 30 years ago, it just comes up. I guess it's pretty much just to show that, it's still a mystery that is to be solved. I want to believe that it probably was the reporter who did it. But at the same time, the boyfriend is
A mom's boyfriend.
very suspicious too.
So the mom's boyfriend is very suspicious too because of the way he was trying to proclaim his innocence. He was doing extra, they said.
Yeah. So I'm not sure who did it, but there's just thoughts in my mind.
Well, for me, I wonder when the mom's boyfriend went to go wherever he wanted to go. I think what happened was Matthew Moorby was probably like, oh, where's he going? I want to follow. And when Matthew Moorby followed the mom's boyfriend, he probably disappeared, or I don't know where he went. But Matthew Moorby was like, oh snap, I'm lost. And then somebody happened to see him and followed him, allegedly, and probably did whatever they did. Again, there was no autopsy showed no signs of trauma or any sexual assault. Excuse my language. Either someone took him and he ran, Matthew Moorby ran, and somehow ended up at the Japanese garden area lake. He probably was getting chased and was like, I gotta run. So somehow he ended up in the lake. I'm not gonna cry. It's so tragic when you hear of a child passing away, or
Yeah,
just even in general being treated in such a manner. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Let us know what you think. All the details pointed to the mom's boyfriend. Steven John Diddy allegedly recanted, but he had so many evidence pointing to him, and he knew so many things that other people didn't know about. Mind you, he was also a radio host, so he probably got more insights about the story. We're not claiming that it was a mom's boyfriend. We are not claiming that it was Steven John Diddy. We are stating the article that was said.
The facts that we heard from
the article that we read. But with that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time on the WitchDarkTales podcast on Monday for audio and Sunday for visual. Blessed be everyone. Stay safe out there.
Bye.
Bye.